Welcome back, everyone, to our video game book club of Tomb Raider 1 Remastered Part Tray. All I see is like the tips of Preston's little fingers. Like it wasn't the whole thing. It was just like the
just like he's gonna
littlest
say,
bits,
I'm waiting for him to be stuff. Yeah.
the littlest bits of the tips. That's what she said.
Hello.
Let's just get right to it. I should have written a recap, and I did not from last time. Basically, last time
we're in Greece.
we did some jumps.
We left
opened some
Greece.
puzzles. We're in Greece. We got our second piece of ski on. Now we're headed to no. Yes. No. Yep. Where are we at this time?
Egypt.
We're in Egypt now.
Egypt. I only have the city of Kamoon, but we're in Egypt this time.
You know
looking
where
for a
that's
third piece of ski on. What, Kamoon?
Yeah.
Kamoon's not a real place.
Well, we went there in Tomb Raider.
Yeah, but it's not. There's no.
These are historically accurate places. Okay, there's places with dinosaurs, and
Yeah, as we were talking, I just quickly Googled to make sure I didn't lie. But no, Kamoon is not a real place, so we are good.
Did you imagine? Oh, that'd have been so awkward.
that was actual.
All of our Egyptian fans would have been pissed. So
Yeah, they would have been very mad at you.
Sure.
So let's get to this. So level 10. This one was only a 3-parter, right? 3 levels.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rely on your guys' feedback for this one a little bit because I'll tell you what happens in mine. So level 10,
Preston and I got feedback.
It's very short.
Level 10, Lost City of Kamoon. In this level, the big takeaway here is we're introduced to new enemies, right? So we have Black Panthers. As soon as you come in, you got Black Panthers. They're like the lions that just take way more
got
shots.
the glowing
They're a pain in the
eyes.
ass.
Panthers have glowing eyes.
And then we have mummies of big cats. And the mummies of big cats are just they
have
jump around
dynamite
more.
stuffed in them.
And yeah, for some reason when you kill them, they explode into fireballs. I don't know
And
why.
they can hurt you, by the way.
Oh no, it does. Yeah, it absolutely hurts you.
Mm-hmm.
And they
I've
both
gone
take
that
a
way.
ton of bullets. So the objective to this level is to explore the area near the Sphinx. We come in underground naturally. There's this decent-sized Sphinx, not the biggest Sphinx of this playthrough. And we have to find a sapphire key, which will unlock the second level to the area. Then we get to the second level of the area. Essentially, you find a switch that opens the cat temple. You get a second key that gives you the exit to the lost city of Kamoon. So if you do this normally, it's basically the normal routine. You move some blocks, you do some jumps, you pull some switches, you shoot some enemies, you do some more jumps, you hopefully don't fall down or fall to your death, and then you make it to the end. Preston, how long did this level take you?
This one took me, if I had to think and I guess, I would probably say around the 50-minute mark. Maybe a little bit less, but yeah. Just before an hour, I would say.
I did not play this level the whole thing through. We'll get to that in a minute. But what I observed in the subsequent playthroughs or the subsequent levels is that they really started to crank up the backtracking and the confusingness to these puzzles. Like every level, because the way that the game's built.
I feel
has
last one was
a
a little more backtracky, but yeah.
Did you? Interesting. I thought this one had a lot, especially the second level here, had a lot of like.
You came back
go
to
up
that
over
main
there,
area a lot,
come back
but
down, go up over there. Yeah, a lot of backtracking. So this level took me 10 minutes.
because someone decided to do a level skip.
There is a level skip in this one. And boy, is it incredible.
You didn't tell any of us.
Your eyes, you look very, very upset about it. To be fair, Christian, you would have beaten it already, like by the time I had played my playthrough. So
That's true. It's this mission took me like an hour.
He should have to suffer as much as we did.
Because
it's his choice of a video game book club.
Like probably 40 minutes of that was in that main Sphinx room.
Yeah.
Because the point is that on the right side you can walk under the head and then go around to the back and then do it.
If you know to do that.
If you know, the problem is that my first thought initially when I was looking around, I couldn't figure out anything that was going on in that room. I was like, okay, maybe something's going on with the Sphinx. I just happened to jump up the left side and you can't get in on that side because it's not tall enough to let Laura through.
So you went.
There's like a
well, you
weird
can't get up
perspective
either
thing that
side.
happens that because if you sit in front of the Sphinx and look forward, the right side does not look taller
It's very dark.
than the left side, and it's not like there's like a chunk of the Sphinx head like missing on the right side that makes it so that you can go under it or whatever, and like would make you think. So I never thought to jump up there and go look to be like, oh, I guess I can walk under this one. As soon as I went to go walk under the left one and it didn't let me in, I was like, okay, I guess I can't get back there. Because why would I think to go to the other side and try it when they both look the exact fucking same?
So what was it by happenstance or trying, or how did you finally figure this out?
No, 45 minutes went by and I said, I must have missed something. And so I was like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to have to do it. And so then I went, opened up a guide, looked, and then it was like, yeah, go up the right leg. And I was like, what? And then I went and it walked right under. And I was like, no. And so I went to go double check myself to make sure I wasn't crazy. And I went over to the left side and it still didn't let me in. And I was like, yeah, okay, so why the fuck would I ever go look at this? And my assumption is that it's the same thing that happens in all of these, not all of these, but like some older games like this where they're just like, well, I mean, eventually after jumping around and just like banging your head against the wall, you would have maybe stumbled into it.
You're an explorer.
So I wouldn't have.
You gotta find out by
because
looking around.
in '96 I had other choices at this time, especially on the PlayStation 1. I would have looked at this, pressed the open button on the top of my PlayStation 1, taken the disc out,
thrown it,
put something else
whipped
back
it like
in,
a frisbee,
and I would have waited for my parents to get ready to go to the mall again, and I would have walked into an EB Games or GameStop, because we had both, and I would have walked into either one. I would have asked them how much they would have given me for Tomb Raider 1, and whichever one had the best trade-in price is the one I would have went with, and I would have got something else. I would not have sat there and kept it. I would not have done that. I have way other things, so many games at this point to go play.
We truly lived through the peak of gaming when we were younger.
We can still trading games.
No.
When
We lived through the
malls
peak of society, my friend.
When malls were a happening thing and you were a kid and you had the choice, because we too had a GameStop and an EB Games. Like,
did you guys also have an EB Games and GameStop, Preston, or just one?
I wouldn't say. I think it was EB Games for a while, but I think before that was like Funko Land or something like that.
Damn, y'all had a Funko Land down there, huh?
Might have been Funko Land, yeah.
It's just, dude, there was a time where you had the choice of those game places and you had like multiple like record stores of like FYE, which is like the big, like it was peak. I'm sorry.
For physical media,
society,
yes,
it was peak back then.
Yeah. So
It has only went down.
I am sorry that happened to you. That's unfortunate. I would have been pissed too, because I would have done the same thing, right? Like, if I can't get up on the left, why could I get up on the right? This doesn't make any sense. So the way I did this level, you're first dropped into a place where it's a very basic puzzle. You just have to move a block back. That creates a bridge to allow you to move another block perpendicular to it over to a ledge. You jump up, and this brings you to the Sphinx room. You go from the Sphinx room by pulling out a block under the Sphinx once you get the key behind it. You go through and you open a door. In the third room, as the level starts to open up, there are some weird pillars, like little half rooms almost. Like walls come out and create these little alcoves, like 3 on each side. In this room, what you can do is you can jump up on the second pillar, which I did anyway, to kill the panther. And then this game has a jump skip, which if you position Laura... So if you jump straight up, if you hold the A button, she jumps up with her arms. She is moving millimeters forward every time, right?
Right.
However, she typically doesn't fall off things doing that if there's something in front of you. So what you do in that second place is you just put your shoulder on the wall, or in my case, I jumped backwards and she just clipped into the wall. So then I turned around and just started doing the jump straight up. And what'll happen is the game gets confused when you get to the edge of the wall that's holding you on there. and it just forces her to grab whatever is above her, regardless of how high the actual ledge is. So even though it was like 3 times higher than Laura, the game rocket shipped me through the floor right where the lever was. I pull the lever, I jump straight across, jump across, run into the next room and fall down the hole, and that's the end of the level.
Must be nice.
That was
Pretty cool.
Must be nice.
So when I got on here, Preston, we're playing on Family Share. So the reason I texted Preston if he was playing is because it said the game was in use, but it said Preston was offline. I was like, oh, maybe he just left it up on the Steam Deck or something. So let me text him if he's not playing it, be like, hey, log off, I'll play it. He said he was playing. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll go do Pirate Yakuza. I hopped into Pirate Yakuza, did some things for a little bit, hopped out, and I was like, okay, I'll do what Christian said. I'll just go offline and I'll play this playthrough, right? I was about 15 minutes from beating this entire playthrough when Preston was like, hey, I just finished if you want to play it. That's how much time that level skip saved me.
Because like there's like these 3 stages we're going to talk about, like they're all somewhat connected. I think the last stage maybe not, but like they are somewhat connected because you see other parts of the stage as you're walking through the stage. Like that specific area right there, I remember doing that in, was it the 3rd section? It was the 3rd or 2nd section to where you get to see that exact section you're talking about, like through a gate. So
it's the 3rd one.
It's 3rd one.
Yeah, you can look through. Yeah, man, that sucks. Like, if I would have known sooner, I would have told you guys.
It wouldn't suck if the game didn't suck. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's interesting too. It doesn't work it doesn't work everywhere. So like I've used it a couple times in this playthrough to get on top of blocks, but I've never used it to like get up to necessarily a switch. Just the way the level designs play out.
There is a level.
You know about these because of the guide you're using, right?
Only.
Yeah.
Only because of the guide.
So I'm going through like a 100% walkthrough, so I'm just seeing him go everything. He doesn't do any skips, but like there is a pillar in this game that I've seen people do it like in speedruns and stuff for like 100%, to where you have to do what you're talking about because there's no physical way to actually get up there. The devs knew about this glitch and put a like medic pack or whatever all the way at the top of one pillar that you cannot get to unless you do that glitch.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's also in that same room. There's like in the one of the main rooms for the 2nd level that we're talking about. There's a pair of floating guns that are just sitting in the middle of nowhere.
Those are Uzis. That is an invisible platform that you can get to.
That's an invisible platform you can jump over to.
Yeah, that's
which
in the last stage.
I did do that because I thought the same thing. So it's funny you say that, Christian. I have taken pictures all 3 of these playthroughs and just have not sent them to you guys because I always have good intention of like, I'm going to share this. This is a funny glitch that happened in my playthrough, and I just forget. So like the last one, when we were up beside a gorilla, one of the gorillas, 2 gorillas came running out and I killed them. And there's supposed to be 2 gorillas in this area, but I had a 3rd gorilla and I think like its model just got stuck. But then the game produced another one and it came at me. So like there's one point where I'm just staring at this gorilla who's just staring off into space, stuck in the floor. So anyway, I thought at one point that Uzis were that because I've been having glitches this entire playthrough. I was like, oh, there's something has happened. A new creature in the level has done something to where like guns are stuck over there, whatever. And then I found out that it was an invisible platform that I made to later, which is a pain in the ass. The devs knew what they were doing there too because they're like, you can come get these, but it's not like when you land on it.
Yeah.
It shows up.
I think they could have just put that as the tagline for the game.
It's like, you definitely want to save here because you're going to die trying to jump off of this thing.
I made it. It's fine.
Where are we at?
We'll talk about that when we get to it.
I'm up to 139 saves, by the way.
Oh, I'm almost at 200
117.
I'm almost at 200. I'm definitely over 170 for sure.
Yeah. So I find the glitch that you talked about, Preston, interesting. The med pack up at the top of the pillar. I do think there were games back in the day not having the standards, right? The quality standards that you have to have. Where I think
sometimes devs would put things like that in a game for fun, right? Like to Preston's point, like we talked about this before. Like there's places that you're not normally supposed to be able to get to in like Super Mario 64, right? But if you manage your way up there through means that the developers know you eventually probably could, they'll put 1,000,000 fucking coins, you know, on top of a
something,
castle.
yeah.
Something you're
But
like,
it,
oh,
but
cool, whatever.
it's one of those funny things where it's like we don't know, like we know this is an issue, we don't know how to fix it, or we just don't have the manpower,
Or
or
it's
don't
not-
want to
not
fix
worth
it.
the money to fix
so
it.
like, yeah, so like let's turn it into something fun. Where a lot of things
Sure.
today,
It doesn't break the game,
Somebody
it's
looks
just
at
weird.
that, somebody looks at that and goes, "You have to go fix that," right? But there was
See,
a little
something
bit
like that. I don't think
it doesn't break the
would
game.
fall
That's why
under
they don't need to fix it.
Yeah, I don't think that would trip compliance up. I think something that would
Yeah.
trip compliance up is switching the positions of save and load in your menus.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a compliance failure. You know, different things like that I think would stop you. But like, you know, a bug, like games trip with bugs all the fucking time. Like, as long as it doesn't break the experience and or soft lock you or lock you, and even then, sometimes games will still ship with it. Like, there's like a fault tolerance almost where it's like, I've been soft locked in plenty of brand new games. It's just like, if QA doesn't find it, quote unquote, or they're told by a publisher or whoever, like,
Ship it. We
hey,
need it out
erase
now.
that.
Yeah.
Like, don't submit that bug because then we have to fix it. So
Yeah.
take it off, and you get to keep your job, and we'll continue down this road. And hopefully, you know, one of our patches will address this in some other point, but we don't have the time to deal with that right now. Then it ships, a player finds it, and they're like, oh my god, we're going to push an emergency patch. We didn't know, blah, blah, blah. They knew.
I love the goofy little shit like that. Like knowing that jump is there and putting something for all
Yeah.
of those players. I think that's great. So, yes, this level took me 10 minutes. So I apologize to
Happy
everyone
for
else.
you.
Me too. I was very happy for me. Which takes us to level 11, which is the obelisk of Khamun. Press, as you said, like these levels are pretty much intertwined. In fact, in that last Sphinx room, there's a pillar that you come back to in the second level, which is how you get to the
Yes.
third level. So it's interesting how they tie this together. It's also interesting that they're not technically tied together because when you come back the second time, it is a different
Yeah. Which is weird
instance,
because, like,
if you will.
it feels like Greece had like this giant like 2-hour level that they could have easily done into chunks. But I think someone was going, we can't have more than 5 parts in one location. Like we gotta just put all the
Yeah.
levels into one level in Greece. And then Egypt, we don't have enough of that, so let's just chop it up this one level into like 2 or 3 levels. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
what happened.
You might be very right. It does
enough.
give that feeling a little bit.
It is weird too because when you come
which-
sliding down that ramp into that pillar room to like leave or whatever, I knew as soon as I started picking up all the pieces, I was like, clearly I'm gonna have to go back there. But then it like puts you down a little slide, and I was like, oh, like in the mental map of like laying out this thing, I was like,
That's not
this
the end or beginning of a level. That's just the same level.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is weird, and I think you might be right, Preston. It's almost like
If I had
you
guessed.
see a lot of the development went into the first few parts, and then as money and time started to get away from them,
Well, it didn't
then
put it
also
into
you
the
got
cutscenes. That's for fucking
three
sure.
levels
I don't
in
know
the
that I
third
would
last
I think-
playthrough.
I agree with Preston that this level definitely feels chopped up to try to pad it. I don't know if it was a budget or anything. Like I think the same level of quality is measured equally throughout this game,
Oh,
and
sure.
that
Just
you
some
can take
parts are
that
longer
for
than others.
however you want.
I don't
Some
know. I
parts
mean,
are
I
shorter,
agree. This
some
does.
parts are longer.
I guess this does feel shorter in like one broken up level versus separate levels. So in the obelisk of Khamun, the objective, we have to locate a key in a large room. There's an obelisk with 4 drawbridges, and essentially, when you lower each drawbridge, there's an artifact at the end of each one. You have to collect all 4 artifacts, and that's what we'll use when we make our way back to the first level to open the final door, right to the last place. This level I actually thought was kind of a pain in the ass, a little bit more complicated. This one did take me about 50 minutes to get through.
Remind me, is this the one where you're dropping the bridges, or is that the third one?
Yeah. No,
This is the one where you're dropping the bridges.
This
Yeah,
probably
which had-
favorite's a strong word. This is one of my favorite levels out of the entire game, but that's a weird use of that word.
Sure. It's the least
I agree
your
with you. This was the quickest level for me. I just went through.
This level gave me the least amount of hate, put it that way.
Yeah. Yep. I can agree with that one.
Okay,
I had fun with
interesting.
this
So I started to go the opposite way
Yeah.
as we get introduced to even more enemies, which is like the Atlantean Centaur that was a boss in the second playthrough. In
Who
our
has
second
an
part,
automatic bone crossbow now that shoots bombs also.
just becomes like a normal enemy, and then in the last level they get wings and fly now.
Yeah.
And
They fly now.
the
They fly now! They fly now!
these enemies became a pain in my ass. So this one I thought was a little bit more complicated. I didn't love it. It was very vertical, and to me, it felt like there was a lot of back and forth to get what you needed. So again, you're just pulling switches to get the 4 bridges to fall. At the end, there's the Eye of Horus. There's an Ankh, there's a Scarab, and the Seal of Anubis.
Yeah.
So
my
clearly, yeah. So clearly, we are just we said, what do we know about Egypt? And all the devs gathered in this room said, I've heard of this god, and I've heard of this eye, and they pull 4 random things together. And it was like,
Anubis
oh, scarabs
just
are
gets a
there
little
too.
fucking circular, like little potato disc
Yeah.
thing. I'm like, man,
That's
come
the
on.
same thing. That's the same
Yeah.
thing with Greece. We're like, okay, what do we know about Greece? Couple Greek things, couple Roman things. That's definitely not
Yeah,
Greece.
no. When you
And-
said, "What do you know about Greece?" They said, "Oh, it's basically Rome." And somebody goes, "Yeah," and they go, "I've been to Rome," and they're like, "Let's just do that then."
And they go, what about a Norse thing too? And someone's like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, Thor's one of those guys, right? Like, sure, why not? Put it in there.
And what about this guy that was a king in Turkey and not a god nor mythological? Like, let's just throw him
Yeah.
in there too.
That's what I mean. I feel like I said, I think the same level of care and attention to detail has been evenly distributed throughout this video.
That's fair.
Where can you
And
go?
everybody should take that for what they feel like they do take it as, is my opinion of this game. So
Play the
far.
game, find out for yourself.
So when you get all 4, the game kind of circles us back around to the first part of the Sphinx room where we put them in each side of the pillar, and then a door opens up behind us, and that takes us to our final place, which is the Sanctuary of the Scion, level 12. Here we get into a new area with an even more giant Sphinx. Even larger. So we got Sphinx on Sphinx in this
Sphinx on
underground
Sphinx on
cavern.
Sphinx.
That seems to continue to go deeper underground and yet somehow get bigger every time.
Yeah.
I don't know how it does that. You get to the giant Sphinx, you find 2 Ankh
Aliens.
artifacts. So it has to be. 2 more Ankh artifacts to unlock a door at the base of the Sphinx that will then allow us to go underwater in an area that is equally, if not even bigger,
Bigger.
than the ground above it
Sure
with the
is.
Sphinx, where instead of 1 Sphinx, there's 2 giant statues.
Hey, at least proper
Below.
representation of Anubis, not some fucking cookie disc thing.
That's fair. You did have the dog-headed statues down there.
Anubis.
And
Put
then-
respect on the name.
You said Anubis. I didn't need to re-say Anubis. For those that didn't know, I was describing the
Dog
image.
creature. They
So-
had furries in Egypt. What do you want?
Respect on his name.
I was just helping the listeners so they weren't confused. They weren't confusing Ra for Anubis, right? We got it.
No one would do that.
So people may do that.
Everyone knows he's a
Especially people
bird.
that grew up in the 80s, especially people that grew up in the 80s and only know this lore from Stargate, right? It can be easily confused. So
I'm sure Stargate did
anyway,
even better than this game.
I actually like Stargate.
I like
That was
Stargate a
great
lot.
80s event. So
In fact, Preston's mad that you're mentioning Stargate too. Right? At the same time.
So you get a Scarab artifact down below. You just open the final gate of the level, and then we have a boss fight. So I put, like, in this level, it was a pain in my ass. Every enemy here is either a mummy panther or an Atlantean centaur, or the ones that fly. And because of the fact the caverns are so large, every jump is a death jump. You either make it or you restart.
pushed off a lot.
Which
Yeah.
you get pushed off a lot from those stupid birds. And it's not just the push, it's just general level design. Like, I was jumping around the top of the area where the Sphinx was, and you guys probably know in the back right hand side of this map, you jump on a platform, it's like a little sidewalk, and it goes to the back and curves around and then curves around again. And what you can't see from when you land on it is that like the only place in this level, there's 2 of the metal like teeth grinding doors that slam shut.
Oh,
So I'm just
yeah.
like, I jump in there and just run in, doing my business, and turn the corner without turning the camera. Boom, cut right in half, and I'm just like,
Man,
like,
come on.
yeah.
You have one of these things
Like-
in the entire 3 levels of Egypt, like for no good fucking reason
Yeah.
other than to piss me off when I
Yeah.
make this corner. And it's not like
Yes.
And the thing,
The thing that
those things
piss-
are very loud, and you cannot hear it from afar because it's not on until you get close
Yeah.
to it, and then it starts up. But if that was on the entire time, you would be prepared because it's very loud. But they don't do that.
No.
The thing that makes me the most mad about the little thing too is that there is, like, when you are, there, like, when I got up to that section, I was jumping up and I was going through, and I was just kind of in a rhythm. And it only took me like 5 minutes to get from the floor all the way up to get to that little T thing, right? And I was just running, and in my brain, even though I knew 5 minutes had passed, I was like, I'm cool. I'm moving, right? And then you
Yeah.
just get clipped by that fucking thing, and it
Trust
just
it.
goes bip and just like drops over.
I trust it.
And I seriously had this moment where I was just looking at the screen, and I just closed my eyes, and I just sighed because I knew that I was reloading back on the bottom of the ground.
Yeah.
And, but you also know, like, you're like, that's on me. Because I know how many ways this game has to fuck me. Like,
That I should have been saved. Yeah, it's just one of those things where it was just like, again, to your point, Press, it's like, I wish that they would have just had other things in here that would help me fucking
Checkpoints.
hear that these things are coming, or just have them run
Checkpoints.
all the time. Yeah, I mean, checkpoints is one thing, but we're never going to get those. But
And a remaster of a
Like
remaster
something-
could get checkpoints. Okay.
no, I'm not saying. Yeah, I know, I agree with you. I
It's been
mean,
remastered
dude,
twice.
I'm
and then we have still not
I'm
got
playing
checkpoints in
a
this fucking
version
game.
of a separate Super Nintendo game that has quick saves now because it was remade. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. I'm not hearing any excuses from. I've said at the beginning of this playthrough, and I will almost assuredly maintain it towards the end. .mu should be ashamed of the work that they've done.
This is a money grab. That's
as a
exactly what this was. It's a
remaster.
money grab.
it's a weird feeling playing this game from that save, from like, I know I have to save this perspective. Because, Christian, to your point, there would be times where you are under them and you're like making jumps, and your brain goes,
Save.
hey, you
Save.
should save it. And you're like, but let me just make this next
I
jump.
can make this
then."
next one.
And
Yeah.
you have this weird like internal dialogue of like, I'm moving, so I don't want to
That's
stop.
That's the
But,
exact
like,
conversation that
But then I
happens
know
inside
if something. But then I know if something
I'm
happens.
on a roll. Let me just finish this,
Yeah.
and when I get to that area, I'll save.
Yes.
And then you miss it, and you just look and you go, "I should kill myself." Like
Yes. I was like, and so it actually builds the anxiety in your brain while you're playing, because you know, like, the next step could be
Yeah.
the last step. And then there's like little things. So in that same section, when I made it past there the first time you're going through, you run around and like you go hit a switch, I think, and it's like all easy peasy. You had, a panther to kill on the ground, no big deal. And then you turn around, and I guess pulling that switch just opened the gates for the bird mummies to fly through. And now they're there. So then you turn around, you're on a small little pillar, and they're like, hey, let me attack you. And your camera angles are shit, and you can't move Laura too much while you're shooting because she does some wonky things. She could backflip for all you know. And it's like, again, the next thing you know, you're off that ledge. It's like, oh, cool. So this was the first level where I switched to guns, because the enemies got powerful enough and hit hard enough that I was like, for the flying ones, I pulled out the Uzis to just eat through them, and then for the others, I used the Magnums or the shotgun to get through them.
Yeah, I have so much Magnum ammo at this point. I'm like over
Yeah.
1,500 bullets.
Oh, dude, I'm like 1,800 bullets in the Magnum or
Yeah,
something.
and so I'm like, no, everything's if as
this is
soon
my
as-
gun now.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
if I have to be in the same room as you, like if I can't stand on anything or get the drop on you or whatever, you're just getting Magnums. I'm not doing this. And then even further, like something that I thought to bring up that pisses me off is like some of the AI pathing for these enemies, where if you get the drop on an enemy and you're standing somewhere and you start shooting at it, you can literally see the AI switch toggle, which is,
Yeah.
can I get to Laura right now? No, hide.
Run to another room. Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll go
and
into a
you're just
doorway,
Like, oh,
out of your
fuck
sight.
you.
And if you can jump down and get back up, that's okay, because you jump down, you hop back up, and then it forces that AI to run back in the room. But if not, and you just say locked on, like there have been times in past levels where I'll stay locked on to something because I don't want to try and lock it when it runs back in the room, or don't want to lock it when it runs past the door.
Yep.
And you'll just see the camera. It's made it so far. You're at a 0 degree plane, so you're perfectly parallel with Laura's eyes, and it's just sitting, and you know it's either running further back or at you, and you don't know which until finally it moves just the littlest bit off its axis, and you're like, oh, cool, it's finally running back to me.
Yeah.
So, as far as like the panthers, the lions, and like the mummy dog, cat, whatever, I found a really good strategy for them. Is that you have them start chasing you, and then you go really fast and make a turn, and you start chasing them, and they'll still be in the turn cycle.
Yes,
so it's just
yes.
me going clack, 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 while we're both running in a circle. And it's like, I can do this all day. You give me a square area, I'm fucking good. As long as it's not like a little hallway, I got this set. So, I mean, to be fair, like anytime I see an enemy, I'm like, where's a block? I'm going to go jump on a block. Unless this thing has fucking range attacks or it's now flying, I'm not worried about any of these animals. I just need to go find a block to stand on because they're not going to come and get me. I'm just going to sit there and use my unlimited ammo pistols and be like, plop, 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 and get them while I'm up there. But yeah, no, I found out, like, I think it was one of the rooms to where it was like it was one of the ones that the second level that you didn't like, and we're going up into this area and it has like this room that actually has like chairs and a couple tables and shit, and there's one of those fucking dog things up there, and I just couldn't fucking figure it out. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna start running around to see if I can just get them to chase me or get them stuck on something, and I just found out that, oh, if I just run this circle, we're both running this circle together, and she's like automatically shooting from the side, and we'll just take them down that way. I'm like, okay, this is fine. This works out just fine for me.
If it's not the centaur, or if it's not the flying creature, all the other mummies and stuff take like 2 hits from the shotgun and they're dead.
Yeah.
The centaur doesn't take too many though. I think it's like 4 or 5 shots it goes down.
I ran out of
Flying
shotgun
thing's a
ammo
bitch.
towards the centaur, so I just had to use the mag.
No. So yeah,
And
so
also,
this one,
since you talked about the end here, the boss fight. That boss fight was the most.
well, I wasn't at the boss fight yet, but
No,
I'm
not
at
the
the
boss
boss
fight.
You
fight
said
now.
a boss fight, but okay.
We said boss fight.
Sorry, go ahead.
So yes, once we do all the fun stuff here, and we finally get to the final room, Larson is there. So Larson's another goon that's here out and about, and we have to take care of him to get the third piece of ski on. I fought him with the magnums, and it was like 4 shots.
I literally stood in front of him, and I was like, I'm not
Traded
even, 'cause
bullets?
I could see how far. Yeah, I could see how fast his health was going down, and I was like, I will actually just trade DPS with you because I know I'm out DPSing you. I'm not even moving. We literally just stood at each other and went bam, 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 and then he died, and I still had half my health left. And I wasn't
out
"That'll
DPSing
do."
him, but I got close to dead health, and I'm like, okay, pause it, use a medic pack, go back in, and just start shooting some more.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
so
But yeah,
he only got
dude,
2
any of the
lines out
big
for me.
guns, like the magnums, just eat them. Like they
He
don't.
was
do it. They
like,
can't do it.
he only got 2 lines out for me, which was, he was like, fancy meeting you here. And he's like, you're a pain in my ass or pain in my butt or something like that. And then he died, and I was like, well, there you go.
I got like 1 line out of
So-
it. I'm like, okay.
This kind of hit me today, when I was getting notes and thinking about it. But like, we've had 3 boss fights in this game.
I guess.
Right.
Sure.
We have. They
They
right?
have
So we
they have a boss bar. I'll give you that.
You have
They-
Larson the
and-
first time.
Well,
you
so
have-
they. Hold on. So actually, that's a good point. Let me go back because there is actually. You're right. There's a T-Rex. There's other stuff, but you have Larson the first time. You have Mr. Pierre Dupont the second time.
Yeah, wah wah.
Wah wah, and then Larson again. Every fight has happened in the room with the ski on.
Yes.
So why haven't these baddies who have clearly beat us to said rooms,
Take it.
and then Pierre Dupont, who was a literal sorcerer and could disappear at any time, why didn't they just take it and leave?
Sorcerer. So, I think in
I'm
this,
assuming they're
my
coming in
personal
behind
opinion,
us. Like, we're opening the doors and like, well, we're sneak in while she's fighting things.
No, because he was in here before you get in there, and he's like talking to you.
I think the true fault here lies with Larson because he should have just taken the first one
Yeah.
and then moved the fuck on.
Mm-hmm.
Any moment since then, they need the piece that you have, so they have to wait to get the drop on you. Like, because if Juan
The other
takes
two
the
don't-
second one.
it doesn't do
or
any
Larson
good,
takes
yeah.
the third one. It doesn't really matter because they only have 2 of the 3 they need. But that first one, though, yeah, it makes no sense that Larson didn't just take it and leave. Especially when he was clearly so far ahead of you while we were watching our Peruvian tour guide get mauled in front of us and we just walked off. So, I don't know why. I don't know.
So even if he took the first one or didn't take the first one, like maybe the first one plays out the same way for some reason. Pierre Dupont had such a lead, right? Same thing. We find him in the final room. He could have just taken it. And then Larson, when he gets away, could have just gone to get the third one because, Christian, as we come up out of the ground here into the sunlight in our cutscene, what happens? We're met by 2 shadowy figures that are blind, like we're blinded to the sun, so all we see is their shadow. They have guns on us, and a big old dude grabs us from behind. They get the drop on us anyway, and they take it. So, like, they didn't need us to clear the way. They had already made it to these hidden rooms before we got there. What are we doing? So, we get grabbed, and one says, you know, you pull... You pull the tough end of the wishbone, howdy, which was a line. It was a line that somebody had to say in a booth. And one of the goons,
like, oh, was Larson pushing up wind or something like that? You know, like,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, so one of the goons takes our guns, and then we hear a woman say, a woman gets out of the car. She says, "Left Larson pushing the wind, then, eh?"
And
yeah,
that's what it was.
Or like, sure, if that's what you want to call us shooting him in the face.
I've never heard that phrase before in my life.
Same. And I'll be honest with you, I bet you if we Google it, that's not a phrase that
it's
actually
not a phrase.
exists.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet that too.
Yeah. And we're like, yeah, we killed him. And the woman's like, well, then your vacation is over. And I'm thinking, like, lady, I've been doing nothing but chin-ups for 7 hours in 3 different countries. Like, I don't know what vacation you think this is. But, like, in all honesty, Laura should just be willing to give up the ski on, because the things that you found, like, you've brought back to the world the existence of dinosaurs. You found hidden civilizations. Like, you would be richer than God just based off the finds that you have, right? Like,
imagine not stopping in the middle of the area in Peru because you could tie up a Tyrannosaurus and raptor carcasses and then fly them back to and go, "You're welcome. I will take billions of dollars now, please." That I already don't need because I'm already a spoiled Nepo baby.
That's a good point. And then even if like and if there's someone's like, oh, these could be fake, and you're like, oh, the dinosaurs didn't do it for you. Here's the carcass of an Atlantean centaur that was plastered and encased that came back to life that I just killed. Like, what more do you want from me? It's ridiculous. So anyway, she says our vacation is over, and it's time to give back what you've hijacked off of me. And I'm thinking, like, you don't say your name, but from context clues and the video we saw in the beginning, I'm pretty sure you hired me or tried to.
Yeah, but then we she had a plan to screw us over, and we screwed the deal over. So
But it's I wouldn't say like hijacked. We just got it fair and square. Your guys beat us to it. They could have taken it. Blame them.
Yeah, that's
for
true,
wanting.
too.
Blame them for wanting to get in fights they couldn't handle. Right. So they take Laura's backpack and they throw it to the woman. She says, "What are you waiting for? Kill her." And right in that moment, Laura pushes off this big man. She runs to the edge of a cliff, blindly just jumping. And not just jumping, like swan diving. Not knowing if the ground was a foot or 100 feet, whatever. Not knowing if there's water below. Luckily, there is water below.
Well, she knew that.
And she falls into the river. And the woman yells at a man who starts firing at her at the machine gun. And she's like, "Stop, you moron. What are you doing?" And then she says, "Let's go." And at that point, Laura emerges from the water, and we see the car driving off in the distance. And the next thing we know, we are motorcycling away in the canyon. And in what I can only describe as like a level from Excitebike, the way she just kind of like hits some of these jumps and curves around the walls. Yeah, she does wall ride. We make it to a cove where the yacht and the car is parked. And Laura drives down as the yacht is pulling away. But luckily, this cove wraps around as a rocky surface all the way. It's not a beach, no sand. These are just rocks off the water in perfect ramping formation for a stylized rider such as Laura on a bike with amazing suspension. She goes flying off the edge of this rock.
Too Fast, Too Furious style.
Sends
Too fast.
a motorized vehicle with oil, fluids, and everything. It sends it right into the ocean.
Yep, right into the water.
Yep.
She lands. The motorcycle instantly goes deep enough to where it can't be seen in what I would imagine is probably pretty pristine water, unless it's
Not anymore.
full of like murky sand. You could probably see. But anyway, it gets below the surface. She gets below the surface, and
Not
one of the
enough transition
goons,
fluid in it.
one of the goons that grabbed us walks over and is like, "Huh, did I hear something?" And I'm thinking like, you probably heard the revving of a motorcycle engine. If I had to
giant
guess.
You
Splash.
definitely did. You heard a motorcycle leading all the way up, and then you heard a motorcycle ramp off and have nothing but pure open air to reverberate off of your eardrums. The
In a
sound of
can-
a motorcycle in air.
In like a canyon, yeah, like it's gonna sound
Yeah.
like probably machine
And
guns.
then you
going
heard
off.
two splashes: a motorcycle which fell faster than Laura, and
Yeah.
then Laura hitting the water.
Yes. So anyway, he looks over. He's like, "Oh, must have been nothing." So she swims up, and one of the goons, he says like, "What is that?" And the other one's like, "I don't know. Must have just been fish." Right. So as they turn around, Laura's climbing on the boat, and she opens a hatch to go down below, and she lands on like something that's covered in sheets. It looks like. And what does she do? She takes a napping nap. She's like, "This is a perfect time just to nap
For a
on this
siesta.
boat."
I get it. I was tired
Yeah.
too when I got to that point.
The boat stops. She wakes up and she dives in the water as people are just out and about. Again, nobody really pays much attention to the noise that has been made. Probably again think it's a fish. And this brings us to the end of our playthrough and the final part that we will be playing to the end of this game. 3 levels. We are in a remote, truly desert and deserted island, it seems like. In the middle of somewhere. Because, like, I'm also, we were in Egypt, and Egypt isn't known for the vast... I guess we could have been, like, on the coast, but it really seemed like we were in the middle of the desert, so I don't know where this oasis full of water and
Yeah,
an
it's true,
entire
actually. I
island
don't know.
is.
Well, it depends on how far she was riding, because it just cuts, so she could have been riding for miles.
So she may have ridden from the middle of the Sahara to the coast of Africa,
knows?
and one of the big bodies of water that exists.
She could be all the way in the Amalfi Coast from all I know right now.
Also, this island, like, it doesn't seem to have just projected itself out of the depths. I would assume with all of the technology that is in this world, somebody probably would have found this by now. But anyway, there are 3 pieces of Skion that have been found. We know that. The woman that hired us and her goons are hot on the tail of doing something with them, getting, I guess, the power of the gods.
And get that
we
lizard
are
man.
on our way to
That
stop
lizard
it.
man.
So, that's what we have. We have 3 more levels. We will finish this game. Next time we come around, we will be talking about our thoughts. Remember, of not just the game as the game, but the remaster as the remaster. Typically not one of those things I would consider really harping on, I think BioShock was done away, or not BioShock, System Shock was done away, where you gotta
gave
say,
it praise for how good it was for being a
we gave
remake,
it praise, but that was it. We really talked about
Yeah.
the game as a whole. This one deserves its own judgment.
I just want to, and again, just for people, I'm just rattling off some titles here, just so that everybody can get into the right mindset for this discussion. Because, boy, some of these. Preston, 1996 was the year Donkey Kong Country 2 was given.
Not
to
even
game.
the first one.
It's a great game.
Damn.
It, boy, is it. It was also the same year that Super Mario 64 was given to us.
Great 3D game.
Pokemon Red
With
and
great
Green.
platforming.
Resident Evil.
So would that also be
Quake.
like Mario 64? Would that also be then like Pod Racer, GoldenEye?
I don't know about that. I'm just
don't know
looking
about
at some
year.
of
He
the
was
top
looking at
ones. I'm
96.
just looking at a quick Wikipedia thing. Quake, Super Mario RPG, Tekken 2, and Street Fighter Alpha 2. So, you know, and then Crash Bandicoot, obviously, because I know I brought that up last week. So that was what was possible at 1996.
And, not everyone can be Mario, Christian, okay?
Or Tekken, or Street Fighter, or
those are two
Quake,
different games.
or Donkey Kong, or Crash Bandicoot, or Pokemon.
That's true. That's true.
Not wrong.
And the interesting thing about that, you know what? I'll save this for next time, but I'll also look it up. Some of those games you mentioned, Christian, have also had more recent remasters as well.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
they will deserve their own call out in that part of the conversation. So yeah, join us next week. We're gonna finish this one up, and then we will be going on to Preston, your game.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what it is already?
I do.
Okay, all right, interesting. I'm excited to hear about it. So yeah, with that, everybody, thanks for hanging out. Again, don't forget to check out Preston on Star Wars Sundays, and then we will be back at you next week with 2 brand new episodes of our show. There you go, of our stuff. With that, everybody, thanks for hanging out, and Preston, you know what to do.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or to check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcast. If watching is more your thing, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@thetestingroom, or watch us live on twitch.tv/testingroomlive. To leave comments or ask questions, you can follow us on Instagram @testingroompod, leave a comment on YouTube, or send them in to testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.